A friend of mine told me recently, the day we sold our family home after 20 years, everyone said congratulations. But here's the truth. It didn't feel like a real estate win. It felt like we were standing at a crossroads. He's right. When it comes to downsizing, it wasn't about square footage. It wasn't about market value. It wasn't even about timing the Princeton real estate market. It was about one question. Are we designing the next 20 years of our life or letting the house decide it for us? Hi, I'm Nicole Mook, a local realtor based in Princeton. I specialize in helping longtime homeowners transition from their family homes into the next chapter with clarity and confidence. If you'd like to have a chat, click the link below to schedule a complimentary consultation. If you're thinking about downsizing in Princeton or its surrounding towns, this may be the most important shift you make. Because the regret people feel after downsizing, it usually doesn't come from selling. It comes from making a house decision before making a life decision. Let's be honest, for many longtime homeowners in the greater Princeton area, the surrounding suburbs, the family home becomes what I call golden handcuffs. It's beautiful, it's meaningful, it's tied to decades of memories, but it quietly starts running your life. You walk through rooms no one uses. You maintain a backyard built for soccer games that haven't happened in years. You heat and cool space that sits empty. And the invisible cost? Rising New Jersey property tax, ongoing maintenance, constant upgrades, and the mental load. It's like owning a luxury car that spends most of its time in the garage but still needs insurance, service, and attention. On paper, yes, it's an asset. In real life, it can quietly drain your time, energy, and freedom. And here's what I see in the Princeton downsizing market all the time. People feel stuck, not because they cannot sell, but because they've confused the house with the life that happened inside it. The question that changes everything. I worked with a couple. Let's call them Mark and Sarah. Beautiful 3,500 square foot colonial. Kids grown, grandchildren out of state. Every Sunday, same conversation. Mark would show the spreadsheet, property taxes, utility bills, landscaping cost, capital improvement, and he said, we could free up $2,000 to $3,000 a month. Sarah, on the other hand, would ask, but this is where we brought the kids home from the hospital. How do we sell that? Here's the thing. She wasn't wrong, and he wasn't wrong either. They were just asking two completely different questions. Mark was asking a financial question. Sarah was asking an emotional one. The breakthrough came when they stopped asking, should we sell? And started asking, what do we want our life to look like for the next 20 years? Not the house, the life. When they removed the house from the equation, everything became clearer. They wanted no weekend maintenance, the ability to travel for months, more time with grandchildren, space for hobbies, simplicity. Only then did they look back at the house, and then they realized something powerful. The house wasn't the memory. It was just a container. They moved into a smaller single-level house, closer to amenities and commuting options. That first year, they flew to see their grandkids 3 times instead of just once. They stayed for 2 weeks instead of a long weekend because nobody had to rush back to mow the lawn. They took a 3-week road trip through the national parks they'd only ever seen on TV. Mark set up a small but killer workshop in his new garage. Sarah turned their second bedroom into a bright, airy art studio, a space she never had in the big house because every room was already spoken for. The biggest shift wasn't financial, it was emotional. The background stress disappeared. They stopped managing a property and started living their life. They hosted Thanksgiving in a smaller dining space and realized the magic wasn't the formal dining room. It was the people in it. They traded square footage for flexibility. And in many ways, their life expanded. What most people get wrong. In today's real estate market in the greater Princeton area, especially for long-time homeowners in established neighborhoods, the numbers often support downsizing, but numbers alone don't create clarity. Here's what I tell my downsizer clients. Don't start with comps. Don't start with interest rates. Don't start with how much we get. Start with what does your ideal week look like 5 years from now? If the current house supports that vision, keep it. If it doesn't, that's your answer. There are some common fears I hear often. Let's address them directly. What if I regret it? Regret usually comes from rushing, not from thoughtful planning. What if it never feels like home? Home isn't built from square footage. It's built from routine, people, and intention. What if I miss the space? You don't live in 3,500 square feet at once. You live in about 200 square feet at any given moment. These fears are real. They deserve respect. But staying stuck out of fear is still a decision. If you're thinking about downsizing in Princeton or its surrounding towns, before you talk to a contractor, before you declutter, before you even look at townhomes or 55-plus communities, pause. Ask the bigger question. What kind of life do you want for the next 20 years? If this conversation feels familiar, if you are caught between the house you have and the life you want, I created something specifically for that stage. It's not a pricing sheet. It's a simple life decision worksheet with 5 focused questions to help you define your next chapter before you make any real estate moves. You can download it below because this isn't about selling a home in Princeton. It's about designing the next 20 years of your life with intention. A house is just a tool. When the tool stops serving the life you want, it's time to consider a different one. This isn't a real estate decision, it's a life decision. And the right one should feel like freedom. If you haven't had a chance to watch this video, 5 signs you're ready to downsize, I put the link below. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.